Yes, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Football's 12th Man. And welcome and good morning to you all for the Transfer Morning Show. We are going to talk all things transfers. We're going to touch on a little bit of England. We're going to look at the candidates for the next England manager should Gareth Southgate decide that his future does not remain at the international side. So we're going to touch on that. We're going to talk a little bit about Dani Olmo. We're going to talk a little bit about Emil Smith-Rowe and, of course, Merino. We're going to talk Arsenal. We're going to talk Newcastle. We're going to talk Liverpool. We're going to talk Manchester City, Manchester United. There's a lot of news this morning, so we're going to get through it as quickly as we can. But first of all, do me a favour, people. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you hit subscribe. That's the first two things I ask you to do. They're absolutely free. Don't cost you a penny, and it only takes 2 seconds. So please make sure that you hit that. We are 95 subscribers away from 21k. We are so close. And, of course, we are looking at the main target of 30k. The first way to get us there is to get us to 21k, and we are 95 people away. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you can help the community get to what I believe is going to get closer and closer to 30k. So please make sure that you do that, people. Thank you so much for that. Let's say good morning to everybody in the chat. Good morning to Elder. Good morning to Emerson. Good morning to Dan. Good morning to Ash. Good morning to Geordie Toon for Life. I hope you're well. Good morning to Mum. Good morning to Tony. Good morning to John. I hope you're all really well. Please do me a favour and hit that like button. We are going to get into this morning's news. If I'm honest with you, I'm going to touch on England to start with. And then we're going to get really into the transfer news. We're not going to talk about the game. We're not going to talk about anything more to do with why Southgate is right for the job or wrong for the job. We're going to share the information. Now, there is definitely 100% rumours that are quite strong now that Gareth Southgate may not be the manager. And if he isn't the manager, what's going to happen? Now, Southgate, I believe, has got the right to decide what he wants. I think the FA probably, well, they've made it pretty clear, in my opinion, that they want to keep him. It's going to be Southgate's decision. It's going to be the FA's decision. Together, I think they'll sit down. Does Gareth Southgate have the energy for another tournament? Do you think he deserves another tournament? Well, that's kind of a different story for me. I think if you believe that Gareth Southgate deserves a different tournament, then you're quite happy with how he's done and how he's getting us to semi-finals and finals, and it's fine. I think it's time for somebody new. I think it's time to get some new ideas. I think some of the players that he's stuck by and that he trusts has definitely not been good for the side, in my opinion. And I think for the tournament that we have in a couple of years' time, it would be nice to get somebody else who can try and get something better out of these players. Now, if he is to decide to leave, well, where are we going? Well, the first option people are all talking about is Lee Carsley. Now, he is obviously the under-21s manager at England at the moment, and that is how Gareth Southgate got the job. And I think the FA are looking at that, so that if Gareth Southgate was to leave, we would then look towards Lee Carsley, because he would be in the exact same mould as what Gareth Southgate has done. He understands all of the under-20 players at the moment, or under-21 players at the moment, that are playing for England, and he'd be able to then have an understanding of them when they break through into the first team. Now, as you well know, not every under-21 player breaks into the first team. So would this be a good move or not? I know absolutely nothing about Lee Carsley as a manager. I don't know anything about him. I know that we've had under-21 managers in the past that have done very good jobs. I know that Steve Cooper did a really good job down at 17s. I know that Adi Boothroyd's done well with the unders. Lee Carsley is the next name on the list. But if it isn't Lee Carsley, then who is it? Well, Eddie Howe and Graham Potter are also being linked as being favourites for the job. Now, there's a list of candidates they're looking at if Gareth Southgate is to leave, and these two are the two that everyone's talking about. Now, I think Eddie Howe would be the best option, because Eddie Howe, for me, is the best English manager. I think that Graham Potter, as much as I would happily have him, is probably more realistic. I prefer Eddie Howe's style of play, and I think that he's done a lot more in his career in terms of experience. But Graham Potter, I think people forget what he did before it went wrong at Chelsea. He was brilliant at Brighton, did a great job at Swansea, superb at Östersunds over in Sweden. I think that is a manager that could come right now. He's not got a job. So I don't really see anybody. I don't really see anybody else at the moment anyway as a realistic option than Graham Potter. But we'll soon find out. If Gareth Southgate is to leave, then the other names on the list are, of course, Steven Gerrard, who's over in Saudi at the moment. I don't see that one happening, if I'm honest with you. I will say that he did well at Rangers, but he didn't do very well at Aston Villa. Maybe the job was too big for him. Does that mean that the England job is too big for him? But it is very different running your country internationally or your club football. The other name on the list is Frank Lampard. I don't really want this at all. I don't rate him. I've not been a fan of what I've seen. I understand he did a good job in the first year at Chelsea. We got top 4 with a transfer embargo and a young side. But I don't think that is good. I think we need somebody else that's going to come in and not have any loyalties to any of the players. Because this is the Frank Lampard that we know will be having Trevor Chalobah in there. He'd be having Mason Mount back in there. All these players will be coming back in if it's for Frank Lampard for me. So I don't want to be seeing that personally. The other Englishman that I would absolutely 100% throw into the mix is Gary O'Neill. I think he's done phenomenal. And someone mentioned it on Lee's show yesterday that Gary O'Neill would be a good candidate because at Wolves and at Bournemouth, he's done very well. And I've been a massive fan of what Gary O'Neill's done. And I would rather have Gary O'Neill than Gerrard or Lampard. Let's be real. But, of course, there is one thing that these all have in common. They are all English. There is a manager who is very interested in the England manager's job. Should Gareth Southgate go? And it's this guy. It is being reported that Thomas Tuchel is very interested in the role. Now, I don't know if that is something that people will get behind, but the Sun are reporting that Tuchel wants to be the England manager if Southgate steps down. That's interesting to me. Very, very interesting. That is probably the best manager that is on the list so far. If you want it to be an English manager and you have this loving for it, then I think Eddie Howe's your best shout. Graham Potter or Gary O'Neill would be there. If you want it to be a foreign manager, then you've got to get the best available. And the best available is going to want to have to come. Now, Jurgen Klopp's the best available, but he's not going to want to come. He's just left Liverpool for a break. He's not going to get any energy for a Premier League season. Has he got energy for a national side? Well, he's turned down both USA and has said that he's not interested in taking the Germany job. So I'd imagine he probably does not want to take the England job. So Thomas Tuchel is a really good shout. Thomas Tuchel, I think, is a good manager. I think he's a good club manager, which means I think he could be a very good international manager. Chelsea fans love him. They say he's a proper elite manager. And I understand that he's not got as many trophies as the Mourinhos of this world, as the Peps and as the Klopps. But I look at his record and CV, and it says, I win things and I get you to finals. And I think as a tournament goes, he's won the Champions League. He's won trophies. I think he could get us across the line. I wouldn't be against this at all. And some people don't like foreign managers. I understand that you'd like to, and it's not because I don't like the nationality of the foreign managers. It's because they want to believe that England produce good managers. But the reality is, guys, we don't. When is the last British or English manager come through that we've gone, oh, England have produced him? Like, who are we producing at the moment? Most of them end up as number 2s or not good enough. So if that's the case, we've just got to accept that, let the FA sort that out, and let the coaching staff sort that out and sort out better coaching, better training, and then go and get who we think is best. And I think Thomas Tuchel could be a really, really good choice. So if he's interested, as people are saying he is, we obviously see him at Chelsea here, so he's got his experience at Chelsea in England. He will definitely know and be aware of most of that England squad. I think he might have worked with some of them at Chelsea if they do get picked. So let's go for it, man. If that's who wants to come and Gareth Southgate is going to move on, I think that would be a fantastic piece of business. I really do. I think it would be a great option. So, yeah, let me know who you want in the chat. Just put the name if you want Potter, if you want Southgate to stay, if you want Gerrard, if you want Lampard, if you want Lee Carsley, or, of course, if you want Thomas Tuchel. There are some rumours, of course, that Mauricio Pochettino would also be interested in the job. Not too sure what you think thoughts are about that. Let's move on to the first story, shall we? There is the talk, of course, of Dani Olmo. Now, we've spoken before about his £50 million release clause that was actually extended until, I think, tomorrow. I think it might be that it was supposed to run out on Monday, but I think it might be extended for a few days. So maybe it's either the end of the week or midweek. I'm not so sure. But, of course, there are teams interested in him. Now, we know that Chelsea are not interested in Dani Olmo, but the team that are in advanced talks at the moment to sign the 26-year-old are Manchester City. Now, if they sign him from Leipzig, 26 years old, Spanish international, he's just won the Euros, I think he would allow or move a pathway for somebody to leave Manchester City. Now, that somebody could be Kevin De Bruyne. I don't know if there is serious rumours that KDB wants to go, but I have heard that Saudi Arabia are very interested, and there are suggestions that KDB might be tempted. Now, most people are tempted by money, and at 32 to 33 years old, I would understand why KDB might look at this. If I'm Manchester City, I'm keeping KDB until he can't walk again, because the guy is phenomenal. But Dani Olmo would be a fantastic signing for Manchester City anyway, even if they weren't to let somebody go. There was rumours of Bernardo Silva going, they've gone quiet. Rumours of KDB to Saudi, they've gone quiet. Rumours that Matheus Nunes might go, they've gone quiet. And I don't think Manchester City need another midfielder like this ilk. But if they were to lose one of them, they certainly would. So I think Dani Olmo to Manchester City would be a fantastic signing for him. I think it would be a good move for Dani Olmo because I think he's that good that he can force his way into that side. And there'll be enough playing time next season anyway for players. So everyone needs a bigger squad. So keep your eyes peeled on Dani Olmo. I think it's a player that Arsenal should have been looking at. I don't think that if Erdegaard gets injured that Fabio Vieira is as good. So I think we do need another creative midfielder. Xavi Simons was someone I would have liked. Dani Olmo can play wide as well, but he is normally better in the middle. I like him a lot. I've been very impressed with him in this Euros. Been one of the players of the tournaments for sure. Got the golden boot, I believe, because he got 3 goals and more assists than Harry Kane. So he's one that I look at and think fair play. He is a player I would like to have seen come to Arsenal, but it looks like Man City are leading the race. Let's talk about Liverpool, because Liverpool are looking at defenders. We saw yesterday that Mark Guehi is on their list. We've seen Ignacio that's on their list. And now they are looking at this player. Now, this is Mohamed Simikan. He can play right back and left back. He, of course, is at Leipzig. And the rumours at the moment are that Liverpool and Atletico Madrid are both interested in the 24-year-old from Leipzig. He's the French defender, Mohamed Simikan. That's come from Sky Germany. He can play at right back. He can play at centre back. He's 24 years old. He is very highly rated and one that Arsenal were looking at. And I must say, I've been impressed from what I've seen. I always try, I've never heard of him. Then I get linked with Arsenal, and then you take a look, don't you, and see what he's all about. And if I'm honest with you, he looks a very good, promising talent. Can play in a number of positions, very versatile, young, hot prospect. So Liverpool right now, I think, need a defender. Now, I don't know if they need a defender as a right back. They have got Conor Bradley to back up Trent, but also that would help. They definitely, however, need a centre-back, in my opinion. I'm not so sure that Joel Matip is going to be the answer anymore. And I think there's rumours that he's going. Obviously, Konaté and Van Dijk are a great partnership, but how fit is Van Dijk going to be? So a centre-back is definitely needed at Liverpool. There's no doubt about it. So watch this space when it comes to Liverpool and defenders, because they're definitely going to get one. I'm not quite sure who it's going to be. If I'm Liverpool, I'm wanting to go all out for Diomande. If not, Mark Guehi. And then we'll see what happens after that one. So watch the space on Simikan and see where Liverpool go. Let's move to Manchester United, because they're going to be busy again. However, this time it's with an outgoing. And it looks like there's going to be potential for Scott McTominay to be leaving. Now, Galatasaray are apparently in talks, according to the Metro. 27 years old, Scottish international, and Manchester United are looking to sell him. Now, it's not the only club that are interested, but at the moment, it's the ones that are the favourite, and that is Galatasaray. Now, I find that quite strange that he would want to be going there. Apparently, they've rejected bids from Galatasaray, according to the Daily Mirror, for Scott McTominay. I think he's available, but he's available for only at the right price. And I don't know what that right price will be. Man United fans, how much is McTominay worth? Is he worth keeping? Is he a player in the squad that gives you 110%? I would suggest that he is. Now, don't get me wrong, if someone's going to offer 25, 30 million for him, you're going to say yes. But I don't think he's worth that much. I think if anybody bought Scott McTominay, they'd be expecting to sign him for £15 million. 27 years old, 15, 20 million tops, absolute tops. Because he's a good player. You know, he's not a great player. He's an okay footballer. Let's see what Galatasaray are offering. But Manchester United interested in listening to offers, but have rejected bids from Galatasaray. There is positive news, however, if you're a Manchester United fan. on Leny Yoro. Now, Leny Yoro, I think, has his heart set on Real Madrid. A lot of rumours are suggesting that that is where he wants to play his football. But Real Madrid have not offered the money that Manchester United have. Now, Manchester United have had a bid accepted, apparently, in the region of 50 million euros for Leny Yoro. And he is now deciding where he goes because Real Madrid, it seems, are not willing to go that steep. They are willing to offer, we believe, rumoured to be around about 34 million euros. They have already offered about 17 or 18 million, which was rejected straight away. So they need to meet the value of what Leo are saying the defender is worth. And Manchester United have really not helped things with Real Madrid as far as they're concerned, because Real Madrid probably had 17 million as their first bid, 20 something as their second, and could have agreed potentially on something around 30. But Manchester United have come into the play and they have said, we'll give you 50 million euros. And now Real Madrid have to start there and then see if they can beat Manchester United for the signature of Leny Yoro. Now, if I'm honestly putting my money on this one, I believe that Yoro will still pick Real Madrid. However, Real Madrid have got to come in. And if they don't, it's very, very good news for Manchester United. Leny Yoro is seen as one of the best young defenders in world football. This would be a phenomenal signing for whoever is going to get this player. And Manchester United should be excited at the moment because they are leading the race and they are in pole position. Why? Not because the player has got his heart set on him, because they've had a bid accepted and they're looking to try and tempt him. And now it's the job of the new structure at Manchester United to try to get him through the door. So I think we need to watch the space on this and see where we are at with Leny Yoro. Let's talk about another defender, shall we? That it looks like Manchester United are probably going to lose hold of. That is, of course, Jarrad Branthwaite. Now, Everton are apparently increasingly confident of winning the tug of war of Manchester United over keeping Branthwaite after they're agreed to sell Amadou Anana to Aston Villa for £50 million. Now, I have to say, I don't see this one happening now. I think Everton will keep hold of him. I think they want to keep hold of him. And I think they know that it's somebody there that 100% could be worth the £80 million they want in the next year or two. Because if he has the seasons that he's had in the last two, then yes, he will 100% be a centre-half that everybody is after. Now they've signed Anana. I think the PSR and FFP has allowed Everton to not have to sell anymore. And Manchester United, let's be real, are looking at Yoro and De Ligt. Now, I know that they were looking at Mark Guehi as well as Jarrad Branthwaite. But today, excuse me, it's early. Today, after Branthwaite, they are looking at another centre-half that you all know, Jonathan Tah. I don't know where Man United are going here. How many centre-halves do they want? Now, maybe it's because De Ligt and Yoro are looking more likely. Branthwaite, Guehi are not looking more likely, so they want three, and they're going to now go for Jonathan Tah. Now, Manchester United have apparently asked the German defender Jonathan Tah, with Bayern Munich having failed to reach agreement with Leverkusen to sign him. He's 28 years old. That's come from Florian Plettenberg. And apparently Manchester United are interested in him now. Obviously, he's at Bayern Munich. He was at Bayern Leverkusen last season where he's won trophies. And he looked to be signing for them. That may not now happen. So at 28 years old, German international, I've always rated him, always liked him. Manchester United definitely liking him. And now it might be that we get to see him in a Manchester United shirt. So how many centre-halves do they want, Manchester United? They've been linked with about 5 in the last week. De Ligt, Mark Guehi, Jarrad Branthwaite, Leny Yoro, and now Jonathan Tah. They definitely want 2 or 3 centre-halves, people. Let's be real. They 100% want 2 or 3 centre-halves at Manchester United. So, yeah, let's see what happens on that one. I think it's going to be very interesting, that's for sure, to see what centre-half pairing it will be at Manchester United and what this means for Lisandro Martinez. Does Lisandro Martinez go to left-back? I've always had that in the back of my mind. I don't really see him as a centre-half. I think he's done okay at Manchester United, but I don't really see him as a centre-half. And he's had injury problems, so maybe they'll play him as a full-back to give some competition to Luke Shaw. And they'll go for 2 or 3 centre-half pairings. Maybe it's De Ligt and Yoro as the centre-half pairing. Young, 24 and 19 or 18, is he, Yoro? Lisandro Martinez, I don't think he's very old. I think he's in his early 20s as well. He's maybe left back, and then Dalot at right back with Anana in goal. Maybe that's what they're looking at doing, Manchester United. And then they're going to their midfield with Ugarte, Bruno Fernandes, and one more. And then I think up top, they're looking at Xerxes and Hoyland for the number 1 jersey. And then they have, of course, have to work out what they're doing with Rashford and Sancho. They've still got Garnacho. So Manchester United, a few players added, and then all of a sudden it's starting to look like a pretty good first 11. But 11s win you games, squads win you trophies. And I don't think Manchester United are anywhere near building their squad just yet anyway. That's my opinion. Let's move on, shall we, to other news. Where are we? The next move is... I've lost my place now. Bear with me, people. Where are we? We have got Leeds news, and I'm trying to find it somewhere. Where are we? Can't find it now. Anyway, it's about this guy, Willian. I'm a fan. I like him. I really like him, actually. I think he's a top talent, and I've always liked him. I've always rated him. Always thought he was a good player, and Everton have wanted him for some time. He's 20 years old, and the Italy winger, according to Team Talk, would be interested in leaving Leeds, but Newcastle are after him now as well. So Newcastle are set to try and rival Everton with the signing of Willian. I've always been a fan. I saw him in the Premier League and thought, wow, you're one of the best players Leeds have got. This season in the Championship, he was a very, very good player. And I do feel like there's a issue with some of his attitude at Leeds and how he's not been 100% committed at times. But I think he's managed to sort his head out. And this would be a very, very good signing, to be fair. So I think Everton and Newcastle are going to fight this one out. He's probably going to want to come to Newcastle. I think they're going to probably have to be able to offer him a better project. In my opinion, I think it would be a good winger. He can play right and left as well. And Newcastle need a right winger. They've got Anthony Gordon, they've got Harvey Barnes, but they've only really got Miguel Almiron and Jacob Murphy, who are both linked with moves away. Almiron linked with Saudi, and then, of course, Jacob Murphy linked with a move away from Newcastle as well. So Nonto would be a really good signing for Newcastle, 100%. He really would. Big up to Igal, who's in the chat. Absolute legend. I hope you're well, bruv. He says Dani Olmo is a problem if he goes to City. Yeah, I think you're right, bruv. I do not want to see him at all at Manchester City, but we'll see. Leeds winger is big for a winger, built like a centre-back. Yeah, I say I'm a fan of Willian as well. Make sure you go over to Gal Talks Football, people. Make sure that you go and subscribe to him. Make sure you go and follow his content. Massive Arsenal fan, absolute legend, regular on this channel as well. So make sure you go and show some love to Igal. Let's move to the next story, shall we? Because this is about Flynn Downes. Now, Flynn Downes is a player that did so well at Southampton, and he has apparently agreed a deal worth up to £18 million to sign from West Ham to Southampton. He's 25 years old, highly rated, had a very good season at Ipswich when they were over in League One, and was seen as someone who was upcoming. Has got his move to Southampton, has been pivotal to them winning a playoff place and getting promoted to the Premier League. And this one looks to have been all but done. Now, watch this space on Kyle Walker-Peters, because West Ham are interested in Kyle Walker-Peters. So I think they've built a good relationship, or tried to at least form one, with Southampton, so that West Ham can later go in for Kyle Walker-Peters. They've going to receive £18 million. I imagine they'll put some of that towards that offer. Kyle Walker-Peters is a player that I do rate. I must say, I think he's a player that has done well in the Premier League. I think he's been one of Southampton's most consistent players, can play right back and left back. And I also feel like if he was to leave, Southampton would be gutted, absolutely gutted. And that's always a big sign that you're losing a player that is top talent. So I think you have to be taking that seriously. I think that it would be a good signing for Southampton. I've never been this huge lover of how fantastic that he's been, and oh my God, this player is going to set the world alight. But at the same time, I think Southampton fans are really happy with his signing. So Russell Martin, I suggested yesterday, said he would, quote, cry himself to sleep if he weren't able to tempt Flynn Downes to Southampton. But that looks like it's going to get job done. So wait for the green light on that one. I have missed a Man United rumour, of course, yesterday. Kambwala signed for Villarreal, which is a defender that Man United fans were really highly rating and quite excited about. Now, for those that are disappointed with it, I think you got quite good money for it. I think it was just under £10 million for a player who's not really done anything at Manchester United yet. I think that's good money. But also, Manchester United are looking at centre-backs. They are not going to keep hold of him. It would not surprise me if Maguire, Evans and Lindelof all leave Manchester United because they are completely revamping their centre halves. Look how many they're linked with. So I can't see that one happening. Let's finish with some Arsenal news. The Arsenal news at the moment is very, very much picking up. And this is the guy that is on everybody's radar at the moment, particular Arsenal and now Barcelona, who have come into the mix, saying that they would be interested in taking a look at Mikel Merino. I like what I see. I don't see much last season, but I see enough in the Euros to know that he is a good footballer. Very comfortable on the ball. I like some of his attributes. I think at 6'2", he gives us a physical, imposing presence in there. That is something that Arsenal have lacked over the years. This could be the Granit Xhaka replacement, in my opinion, for the left eight. He's the only box-to-box midfielder that we would have other than Declan Rice, so it's an absolutely needed signing. But I don't think, people, that this will be it. If Arsenal sign him, there is absolutely no way that we're not signing somebody else, because we need somebody else. We need a 6 and an 8, and the 8 could be Merino. Let's see if the 6 comes in. If it's going to be Kimmich, if it's going to be Bruno G, if it's going to be De Jong, I have no idea. I'm throwing names at you of who players I'd love to see come in. I think Arsenal needs somebody else. So let's see what happens. People are saying they don't see the hype about Merino. There isn't really any hype on Merino, if I'm honest. I think he's just seen as a steady player and someone that can come in and do the business. He's experienced. He's more of a consistent head, level head. I don't think he's going to be a, wow, this player's better than Declan Rice, that's for sure. But certainly he's coming in to be squad depth, and I think that would be a good piece of business at £20 million, £25 million tops. That's good business. I'd rather have had Yusuf Fofana for that money, but it looks like Mikel Arteta has got his heart set on another Mikel, and Mikel Merino is favourites to come to Arsenal. But things could change. Things could change. Barcelona or Real Madrid or somebody else that comes knocking on the door in the Liga, he might be tempted more by that, because I don't know what his background is. I don't know if he's a big, massive Barcelona fan. You just don't know. Geordie Toon for Life has said that Merino is a very talented player. Trust me, he would know. He was at Newcastle watching him. So, let's not get too downhearted by this one before we actually see him kick a ball. Arsenal fans love to do this. Oh, Ramsdale, he's rubbish. He nearly got relegated. Then he was great for us and got team of the season. We've done that many a times. Tommy Asu, who the hell's that? And he comes in, he's been solid for us. So let's just be real. Like, we want to be giving this guy a chance if he comes to Arsenal for sure, before we start jumping it down on everyone's neck, saying that it's not going to be a good deal. So let's just calm, because we need to be serious about this one. Let's talk next about this player then, shall we? Because a lot of people don't want him to go, and I'm one of them. I'm a big fan of Emil Smith-Rowe. I like him. But Fulham have said they've made him the number one priority and main target, and they're willing to go up to £40 million should Arsenal wish to sell him. Now, at the moment, I don't think Arsenal do wish to sell him. There's no suggestion that Arsenal are looking to sell Emil Smith-Rowe. Certainly, they're looking to sell or listen to offers for Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson. But I don't think that Emil Smith-Rowe is one that Mikel Arteta 100% wants to sell, because there's potential there still at 23. Now, there has been some bids already that have been rejected. Arsenal have rejected an offer for Emil Smith-Rowe, who's 23 years old now, from Fulham. They are weighing up whether to make an improved bid. Now, there are suggestions in the Telegraph that suggest that he will be their main target, and £40 million is being touted as what they'd be willing to go up for. £40 million I'd be tempted with taking, if I'm honest. Emil Smith-Rowe this season has got to prove that he's fit. He's got to prove that he can force his way into the first team. And if he does go to Fulham, he's got to force them. He's got to prove those two things as well. He's got to prove he's fit, and he's got to prove that he's good enough for the first team. Now, he's definitely good enough for the first team at Fulham, but is he going to stay fit? Now, he hasn't been able to do that for the best part of 18 months. So we're going to have to now be serious about what we do with Emil Smith-Rowe. If £40 million is to come in, I think we might need to accept it, guys, because I think that we can use that money to go and strengthen. I really do. If you think that Dani Olmo is £50 million release clause, I'll be putting that money towards him and bringing him in to replace Smith-Rowe. Oh, bless me. Sorry about that. So Emil Smith-Rowe being looked at by Fulham. Now, of course, it's not the only club that are looking at him. There's another London club looking at Emil Smith-Rowe. And there's rumours that he's also looking at Reece Nelson. That is, of course, Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace are being rumoured to look at Smith-Rowe. Also, Palace are looking to lose potentially Eze Guehi and Elise, who's gone to Bayern Munich. That could be a worry. I'm serious when I say this. Crystal Palace could be looking at relegation fight if they lose those players. Because without them, where would Palace be? Honestly, It would be a worry. Thank you very much, my bro. Much appreciate that. So I don't know where Smith-Rowe goes. I don't know if Smith-Rowe goes. I have absolutely no idea. But I will say this: we need to replace him. We need to replace him. And if he is going to go, we have to then get a creative midfielder in. Who's that going to be? Big up to Mark says apparently it was a 30 million bid rejected for Emil Smith-Rowe. Well, if they're coming at 30, that's fair. I think that's a fair first starting offer. I don't think it would be fair if they come in with 18 million or something crazy like that. But for me, when you start at 30, you're more than willing to be able to go up to 40. So I think we should try and get as much as we can. And I think we should try and do this for both Nelson and Eddie as well. Let's try and get as close to 30 million for Eddie and Nketiah. Let's try and get as close to 20 million for Reece Nelson. They're not going to be, in my opinion, worth much more than that. But if we can get 35 to 40 million for Eddie and Nketiah and 25 million for Nelson, we've done very well. Very, very well indeed. Likewise, we need to be looking at 30 million plus for Ramsdale. And of course, we need to be looking at 40 million plus for Emil Smith-Rowe. And if those players are being sold for that money, I don't think anyone will mind. This is good selling at Arsenal. This is where Arsenal need to be. Arsenal need to get better at selling players. We've never been good at it. This isn't an Arteta and Edu thing. We have never been good at selling players, ever. We've never got good money for our players. We sell them for well cheap. So let's see. Lokonga, let's talk about him, shall we? Because we know that he's left Arsenal to go to Seville on loan. We know he's a player that is not seen in Mikel Arteta's future plans. But Lokonga hopes that he will be at Seville for many years, being quoted in the Evening Standard, after joining them on loan from Arsenal. So let's see what sort of a career he has. Let's see what season he has, because there is an option to buy Lokonga, and Seville can buy him for £12 million, which I think would be fair. If he has the season he has at Luton, I think he'll probably be bought for £12 million. If he has the season he had at Arsenal and Palace, he probably won't. It's not a player that I think is ever going to come back to Arsenal and get into the first team. So we need to look to try and sell him. So, of course, I hope that he has a very good time over there in Seville. Let's have a look at the next one. This guy. Now, 35 years old now, Aubameyang is. And the Gabonese forward is close to joining Saudi Arabian club Al Qadsiya. Now, I know absolutely nothing about them, but I will say that it will be a good signing for them. This suits everybody, really, doesn't it? It does not surprise me that Aubameyang is a player that is looking over at Saudi. I've never been surprised with some of the options that Aubameyang has had to him since he's left Arsenal. I still don't like the way it was done. I point the fingers really towards Aubameyang there by his attitude. We still haven't replaced him at Arsenal. We haven't. We certainly haven't replaced his goals. Golden Boot winner. We needed to get a replacement in by now. Let's see if we do that this summer. Aubameyang will always be remembered fondly at Arsenal for me, but the way that it ended left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, if I'm honest. It wasn't the best ending for him, was it, at Arsenal? And it could have been so great. I'll always remember him for good times. I'll always remember him for the FA Cup in 2020. I'll always remember him for fantastic memories that I've got of him scoring goals at the Emirates. But he's not a player that I look at and think, wow, we're never going to replace him. Aubameyang will be replaced. I don't know when it will be, but Arsenal need to get that striker in. Maybe, and I keep saying it, please, Alexander Isak. Please, please, please. I keep saying it because Newcastle fans get annoyed at me. Bless them. I do love Newcastle, though. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them. So that is the last story of the day, people. We have got a lot of news that's coming our way. And keep your eyes on the Arsenal stuff. Keep your eyes on Tommy Setford, who looks to be signing for Arsenal. Keep your eyes on, of course, Calafiori, who looks to be signing for Arsenal. Keep your eyes peeled on Mikel Merino. And make sure that you take a look at what's happening with the other rumours of Arsenal in terms of the outgoings. Is Eddie and Nketiah going to leave Arsenal? Is Smith-Rowe going to be allowed to leave? Is Nelson going to go? Does Saudi Arabia really have an interest in Thomas Partey? Is Fabio Vieira up for loan with an obligation to sell or buy? Is there rumours that Ramsdale's going to stay in the Premier League, or is he going to have to go abroad? Who wants Kieran Tierney? There is definitely players leaving Arsenal. Jacob Kivior, another player that Serie A clubs are looking at. So Arsenal, I think now, over the coming days, weeks, you'll start to see players leaving before we start to see too many coming in. And I think the Calafiori deal is stalling because we're trying to save negotiation monies and pennies. I don't know why we're doing that, guys. I really don't. If we're trying to get a player and they say we want 70 million and we come in with 30, we're obviously miles away. We've got to try and do this. But when it's we'll give you 50 million euros and they want closer to 55 million euros, let's just pay the money and get it done and move on because we're wasting time. For the longer you stay on this deal, the more time it takes to go and get the other deals done. So I just think go and bloody do it. Go and get it sorted. Is Eddie Nketiah going to potentially leave? Well, there might be a bidding war with some of the Premier League clubs if you believe what you read. But Marseille are interested and De Zerbi wants him. I think we should be trying to get as close as we can to £40 million for Eddie Nketiah. If we get less than that, fair play. If I'm being brutally honest, he's probably not really worth much more than 20 to 25 million. But of course, with the experience he's got, with the way the market is, with the fact that he's young and English, we can definitely get some money for Eddie Nketiah. West Ham and Palace were sniffing around Reece Nelson. I believe they're still interested. I don't know if they're going to be looking to pay £30 million, which is what we want, but certainly between 15 and 20, I'll be selling him. Emil Smith-Rowe, it has to be £40 million for me. Otherwise, I'm not interested in selling him. As for Thomas Partey, likewise, it needs to be around about 30 million. I don't think it's going to be 15, 20. I'm not interested in that. Just keep Thomas Partey. He's worth more than that. When he's fit, he's one of our best players. So we've got to be keeping him. And then when you look at the other players that I mentioned, Ramsdale, he needs to be 30 million plus. We can't be selling him for less. Kieran Tierney, we're not going to be able to get much for Kieran Tierney, which is a big shame because his injury problems have completely ruined what could have been a very promising career. We're probably going to do well to get 10 million for him now. And if I'm honest, if someone's wanting to pay that, then we're going to have to sell him. If someone's not willing to pay that, then just keep him. Just keep him as a squad player because he's a good left back and he's one that can come in and give you 110%. But I think he will be off somewhere. I don't know where. And then we've got to decide what we do with some of the players like Marquinhos, who I believe is over in Brazil on loan. Charlie Patino is a player that played in the Boreham Wood game, I believe. What we're going to do with him? Is he going to make it into the first team? Is he going to go and get a loan deal at Ipswich Town or someone like that? Or are we going to sell him? And then we need to look at what we're doing with our youngsters because there's a few youngsters who I think got the potential to break through into the first team. They're all too young to go and play loan football. Lewis Skelly, Ethan Nwaneri, and of course, Chido Obi-Martin, who is a player who I believe is rumoured to be staying at Arsenal and signing a professional contract. I hope so. The money he wants is absolutely mad. Believe it or not, he wants the same amount of money that Emil Smith-Rowe is on now, which I believe is around about £40,000. That's mad for a first 16-year-old to be signing his professional contract and getting that much money. But Arteta really likes him. Arteta wants him to stay. Is there a chance that we see Chido Obi-Martin or Ethan Nwaneri? Is one of them going to break through and do a Lamine Yamal? Are we going to see one of them 16, 17-year-old kids come through and absolutely light it up? It would be wonderful to see, wouldn't it? And I said this on the other show. We normally get one every decade, right? In terms of the 80s, it was the likes of Rocky and Tony Adams. In the 90s, we had Ashley Cole. In the 2000s, we kind of had Jack Wilshere, but I just wish he would have been able to stay fit. And now it's Saka. Who's the next one? Who's the next one? Do we have a next one? Is Ethan Nwaneri going to take it to that next level? Is Lewis Skelly going to? Is, what's his name from the Danish striker we've been talking about, Chido Obi-Martin? Is he going to be the guy? I've never known, and I'll say this now, I've never known a striker of that age at Arsenal scoring 10 goals in a game. I've never known a striker after scoring 10 goals, scoring 5 goals in the next and 4 goals in the one after. Clearly, he's a talented boy. I want to see this kid, man. Big time. I want to see what he's like. I want to see if he's an Ian Wright. I want to see if he's Thierry Henry in terms of style, not in terms of how good he can be. What type of player is he? So that's what I want to be seeing. Now, I've seen little glimpses and little goals, but I haven't seen enough. I want to see him in my own eyes. I want to see him live. And I'd love to see him get playing time. And I think that with the opportunity of Arsenal in League Cups and FA Cups, if we were to get a Chesterfield or a Huddersfield, maybe we'll see those sort of players. Last 2 seasons in the FA Cup, our first draw has been Man City and the following season, Liverpool. So we're due a team that's lower than that. Paul says, what's the point of these transfer dailies when no one has signed? Oh, my words. Mate, it's transfer news. Yeah, it's rumours. It's ITK. It's sharing information. So, listen, no one is signing at the moment. It's very, very early days. The Euros in Copa America has literally just finished. So, we are doing the news every single morning. And if it's not something you're interested in, mate, then just watch Sky Sports News and wait for the yellow bar if that's what you want to do. So, anyway, that's that. Big up to all of you, man. Make sure you do me a favor and hit the like on this one, please. And make sure you subscribe. We're only about 90 away from 21k. So let's make sure that we get it and be there, people. Big up to Troops, man. Hope you're well, my friend. I've got your message. I'm going to read it now and get back to you, bruv. So make sure that you do me a favor, people. If you're not already doing it, go subscribe to Troops TV. I'm sure he's on his way to like 400k or something mad like that. So make sure that you do that, yeah? Please, I'm sure you already are subscribing, but if you're not, please make sure that you do that. Troops and I'll be doing a regular show when the season starts as well on his channel. So make sure that you are tuned in for that one. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to get out of here. Please make sure you hit the like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel. Get us to 21k. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.